This is question number 4 from the My Lab Math Homework number 18 over section 3.2. And in this question, we're given a table and we're being told to assume the change is exponential. So when there's an exponential pattern and in a table, we know we're going to focus on multiplication. So when you see the word exponential, your pattern is going to involve multiplication. We're going to find a common ratio that's going to get repeatedly multiplied to create the table. So when I look at 100, okay, I'm going to start at 100, and I'm going to change to 91.7. I'm going to ask myself 100 times what number? So let's just put an X there. 100 times what number X is going to get me to 91.7. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and divide both sides by 100, and when I do that, I find that mystery number X is 0.917. So I'm claiming that this is my common ratio. This is the number I'm going to repeatedly multiply by to create the outputs in this table. So my inputs are the number of days, my outputs are the amount of radioactive iodine that's remaining, okay? So at time 0, at day 0, there was 100 MCLs of this radioactive iodine. Then let's just double check this. If I take 100 and I multiply it by my common ratio, that gives me 91.7 MCLs of iodine. Now I'm going to take the 91.7 and I'm going to multiply that by my common ratio. So let's type that in my calculator, 91.7 times 0.917, and I get 84.0889. Well, I'm being told to round to the nearest tenth, so that's approximately 84.1, and I see that in my table. So I'm pretty sure that I found the correct common ratio because I've repeatedly multiplied by that number twice, and it's giving me the correct outputs. So I'm just going to keep that going to complete my table. As long as I'm increasing by 1 day, right? So I increase from day 0 to day 1, then I increase from day 1 to day 2, and I keep going by 1 day. So day 3, day 4. As long as my inputs are consistent, then I'm going to repeatedly multiply by that common ratio. Okay, so I'm going to pick back up at 84.1 and multiply by the common ratio. So 80, well, actually don't use 80 in your calculation just to be safe. Use that unrounded number that's already in your calculator just to be safe, because sometimes there can be like a little bit of a rounding error if you round too much. So I'm going to leave that number that was in my calculator, and I'm just going to multiply by the common ratio. So 0.917, and that gave me 77.109. But in my table, I'm just going to record 77.1. 77.1. But I'm going to use the unrounded number to do my next calculation. So let's go ahead and multiply that by the common ratio. It's already in my calculator, so I just have to hit multiply by the common ratio, and I get 70.709. So in my table, I'm going to record that as 70.7. And I have to go one more time. So let me scroll down just a little bit here. Again, I'm going to take the unrounded number that's already in my calculator, multiply it by the common ratio. And when I do that, I get 84.840. So that's just going to be 84.8. And that's what I'm going to record in my table. Again, the keywords for this were exponential. Exponential tells me I'm going to have a common ratio. Common ratio is repeated multiplication.